Hello again everyone. Okay, so a member of GI4145 Reenactors has left me a comment on my YouTube channel asking if I could do a video going through the different options for webbing for the M3 grease gun. So today that's what we're going to have a look at. So I find it very odd that the grease gun didn't have its own piece of dedicated web gear. So I've got a few options here that I'm going to start going through now, including some that some people might think are suitable but actually are no good at all. This turned out to be quite a rabbit hole and I was fairly interested to look at because I like to use a grease gun myself every so often, and I've always wondered, you know, what really is the choice for them. All the other American weapons had their own dedicated web gear. So the Thompson had the little shoulder bags, the Garand and the BAR and the Springfield obviously had the dedicated belts. The carbine had little pouches that would go on a pistol belt, but there wasn't something like that for the grease gun when it was first employed, or first adopted I should say. So this question was particularly focused on the Normandy. Now from what I can see from doing research and various things, it's fairly well documented that the only people that had grease guns in any real number during Normandy was the 82nd Airborne. It's documented that the 101st had some, and I know there are a few pictures scattered around of different units using grease guns during the Normandy campaign, but they were definitely not very common at all. But what I found most frustrating when I was doing my research into this is that all of the pictures I can find with people using M3 grease guns that aren't labelled as being in 44 and 45, as in late 44 and 45 in Germany, you can't actually make out how they're transporting the magazines. None of the pictures are at the right angle or good enough quality for you to see what they're using. So that made this a bit more complicated than it should have been really. First off, let's cover the items that you might think are options, but in reality they aren't. And we're going to start with this little pouch here. So this is the Thompson magazine pouch that just goes over your shoulder. Now, at first glance, this might seem as an option, but if I was to open up this bag and pop the grease gun mag inside it, you can see that the magazine's actually too long for this because they're substantially longer than 30 round Thompson mags. So you wouldn't be able to do this bag up if you had it, even with one in, that's difficult, and if it was full you certainly wouldn't. So you can take the Thompson idea, that unfortunately is out the window, you can't use that pouch. The second piece of weapon that I want to quickly dismiss is these. So this is basically like a giant version of the 3 magazine pouch that the United States Marine Corps had for the 30 round Thompson box mags. So this is basically the same pouch but longer, so it will hold grease gun magazines. Now I can't get a definite bit of information on this. I always assumed that these came out as part of the 1945 kit with the 44 packs and cargo bags, the sort of stuff that was used in Korea. But a lot of the information I see online points to these only really being used in Vietnam. So as far as I'm concerned, these are a complete no-go if you're doing a World War II impression. Certainly 100% not a Normandy one, so we can get rid of them straight away. So that brings us on to this. So this is the dedicated grease gun magazine pouch. These are really nice pouches, very heavy duty, lovely little shoulder bags. But although it might come across as, well, there you go, there's your answer then, turns out it's not that simple. Not only can I not find a single picture of a soldier with a grease gun where you can see if there's one of these there, through trawling through online forums and stuff like that, the consensus seems to be that these were for tank crews and that these started getting put in the vehicles, the later Shermans and stuff like that, that had grease guns in them instead of Thompsons. And I can't see any evidence picture-wise of regular GIs using one of these bags during the Second World War, and even if they did, I can't see it being during the Normandy period. So though this would be an easy option, and in the past I've used these myself, after spending some time looking into research and stuff like that, I can't see any evidence of these actually being used by soldiers. Please, if anyone's got photos or any counter evidence to that, let me know, because that would be good. Because online, when I started digging in the old rabbit hole, it seems to be quite a debate as to when these actually come out, who issued them and where they issued them. So I'm afraid, as far as I'm concerned, I wouldn't recommend using one of these. It seems to be a vehicle pouch for their crews, and it's certainly going to probably be after Normandy as far as I'm concerned. Now, before we get to what I actually recommend you do for the grease gun magazines and what seems to be the consensus that I've found online in the old forums and stuff from quite a long time ago, there's 2 options that are, one of them's kind of funny and the other one's just a possibility. Now I don't have one, but if you used a gas mask bag, the kidney bean ones that go on the side, that somehow I don't have an example of despite my collection, it's possible, though I can't confirm, that the mags would fit inside of that. And considering all of these pictures I've seen where there's seems to be no visible way of them transporting it, but some of them do have gas mask bags on, it's possible that maybe these will fit in The gas mask bag, you know, long ways on the side. I'm not saying that it's definitely a solution. I'm just saying it's a possible option, and I would be surprised if someone didn't do it. That's if these will even fit, but I don't have the answer to that because I don't have an example. So if you've got yourself a grease gun magazine and the gas mask bag, see if they'll fit in it and let me know. The second slightly different option relates to a picture I found whilst doing research. So on the screen now I'm going to load up a photo of you. This is a soldier in Germany in 1945. So I'm not saying that this is essentially good for a Normandy impression which has got a grease gun, but the equipment would have been there. So what you can see clearly is that this guy has got a pouch around his shoulder, and that's an MP40 magazine pouch from what I can tell. I mean, I'm not an expert on German equipment during the Second World War by any stretch, but that seems quite clearly to be an MP40 magazine pouch that this guy's got there. And I think this is quite interesting because it's kind of evidence of some of the weird stuff they did. Again, this is late war. He still doesn't have the grease gun magazine pouch, which lends into the evidence that they weren't used by the soldiers during the war. But he has took up this MP40 pouch and he's just using that as part of his uniform. Now, I'm not necessarily saying do this, but if you wanted to, that's certainly an option, and you could take this photo to show people as evidence, because if you do this, people are going to throw Kelly's Heroes comments at you all the time, because obviously in that film one of them uses the same thing to hold some magazines in the tank, and that's become a bit of a almost meme, I think, at this point, where if you do something like that, you're just going to get Kelly's Heroes thrown at your face. But here's an actual photo of someone doing it, so I just thought that was a funny option that I found whilst doing the research, and thought I'd share that with you. So if I was going to do a Normandy impression using a grease gun, although, like I say, it may be a bit strange at the best of times because they were very, very uncommon during the Normandy campaign from what I can tell, I'd get myself one of these GP bags, pop my magazines in this, and then I'd put myself together a pistol belt. You can have your haversack attached to your belt with your canteen and your first aid pouch, get yourself an M3 fighting knife in a scabbard, and you're basically done as far as I'm concerned. The belt will be light because there's not a lot on it, especially if you didn't have the haversack on. They're all options. You put the weapon together as you see fit. But in terms of your grease gun, the only specific part I'd say would be to use this. So just grab yourself a pistol belt, put it together however you see fit, get yourself an M1 GP bag with the little carrying strap on, shove it over your shoulder, get your grease gun, and I reckon you're about as good as you're going to get, barring finding some specific photo, which I've not been able to find, and I did spend a few hours looking, of a soldier with a specific setup, and then copy that. That would always obviously work, because if you copy a photo of a soldier's setup, then you can't go wrong. So hopefully that helps out with your impression using your M3 grease gun. I know it's not a definitive answer, but I did spend quite a long time doing the research, and this is the best I could come up with. If people have got photos or anything like that, please do share it. Come onto Facebook, send me a message on there at Truffles Living History, and we can maybe add some more depth to this if there is any. But I don't think there is. I think the simple answer is really the best answer. Grab the M1 GP bag, do your pistol belt, and you're all done. So if anyone's got any more questions, always leave a comment and I'll answer them as soon as I can. And if you want me to do a little video like this about any questions you have, I'm more than happy to. That's exactly what this channel was made for. So hopefully this one has helped people, and hopefully I will see GI 4145 at some displays with their weapon all set up with their grease gun, and we can all be happy. So on that note, thanks again for watching the video. Please give me a like and subscribe if this has helped you at all, and I'll see you soon.